to take her from me. I cry 7 days a week. 7! This is what's left of my daughter. If I want a hug, I have to hug a box and close my eyes and pretend that she is hugging me back. Do you remember texting me? I would never do anything to hurt her. I swear on my life. Do you remember that? Do you? I hate you. I want to rip you limb from limb and discard you like trash. Like what you did to Ashley.
Take him to prison, please.
This is Chris Watts, who is facing multiple charges, including murder and unlawful termination of a pregnancy in Colorado, for the murders of his pregnant wife, Shanann, 2 daughters, Bella and Celeste, and his unborn baby, Nico. On August 13th, 2018, Nicole, a friend of Shanann, reported her missing and called the police.
My name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. I dropped her off at her house at 2 in the morning last night because we were out of town together, and we were on the way back from the airport in issues, and she's pregnant. And I haven't been able to get a hold of her this morning, and I've gone to her house, and her car's there, and stuff like that, but she won't answer the door, she won't answer phone calls, she won't answer text messages, and I'm just really, really concerned, and she had a doctor's appointment this morning, and she didn't go to it, and I don't know what to do. I've called him and talked to him, and he said that she went on a play date with her other 2 daughters, but, like, if she went on a play date, they're both in car seats. Why would she not take her car? Perfectly understandable. Do you happen to know her address, Nicole? I'm at the tenant up at the house. It's 2825 Saratoga Trail.
Shortly after the police arrived, Chris Watts was questioned about the whereabouts of his family.
Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. What's going on?
So my friend, we were out of town for a business trip this weekend.
All right.
And I dropped her off at 2 o'clock this morning. She's 15 weeks pregnant. She wasn't feeling well, and she had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9, and I told her to let me know if she needed me to take her. She's got 2 little girls. I've called, I've texted. Her car's in the garage, her shoes she wears every single day are by the front door.
However, no one was at home, so they called Shanann's husband, Chris.
How you doing? You seen your neighbors today? No? Okay. What's Chris's phone number?
Chris's phone number is...
Hey Chris, Officer Coonrod for the police department. Pretty good. So, do you have any idea where your wife is? Right. What my concern is, her car's here. They're saying she is diabetic. I don't want her if she's upstairs and can't respond. Okay. About how far out are you? Okay. All right. He said like 5 minutes.
After a few minutes, Chris arrived and let the officers in.
Scott, how you doing?
How's it going?
So this is the only vehicle she would have?
Only one that, yeah.
She would drive?
Now, in Shanann's house, the police began looking for clues on where she and the kids might be.
All the girls' blankies are gone. Their blankie they sleep with, they don't leave anywhere without them.
Good.
They found Shanann's ring and belongings, but Shanann and the children were nowhere to be found. Throughout all this, Chris remained uninterested.
What time do you leave the day?
What time to leave there? Come
No, here.
Usually between 5:30 and 6.
All right. And was Shannon here then?
Yes.
Does she usually watch the kids, or you have daycare watch them? Or?
She usually watches the kids at the high school.
You guys have any kind of issues, marital issues, or?
We're going through separation.
You are? And how's that going?
It's going
Civil for the most part, or?
But a neighbor who had joined in on the search knew that something was wrong.
No.
Back and forth, never moved his stuff in and out of the garage ever.
Right.
To be completely honest with you, my wife and I were kind of wondering when she was on vacation if something happened, because I've heard them full out screaming at each other at the top of their lungs, and he gets crazy.
Does he? And that's pretty recently?
Yeah. He doesn't look worried. He looks like he's trying to cover his tracks. He's normally quiet, real subdued. He's over here telling you 3 times what he took out, what he did. He's very, he never talks. So the fact that he's over here blabbing his mouth makes me kind of suspicious.
The FBI and Colorado Bureau of Investigation joined the search, and Chris even granted interviews to multiple TV stations, pleading for his wife to return.
When I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. Like,
she wasn't here. Kids weren't here. I have no idea like where they went. Right now it's got K9 units, the sheriff's department. Everybody's like they're doing their best right now to figure out like if they can get a scent. If she wasn't here, like where did she go? Like once I got here, it was like, all right, who can I call? I called her 3 times, texted her about 3 times just to say, you know, what's going on? Like if she's vanished, like I want her back so bad. I want those kids back so.
On August 15th, 2018, Chris was arrested and brought in for questioning.
Nothing in your pockets? Okay, go ahead and face that other wall behind you. I'm just going to search you real quick. Spread your legs. Further. Okay, turn around and face me. No earrings, necklaces, anything like that? Okay. Let's walk out this way.
He maintained he was innocent and agreed to take a polygraph test.
Can we talk about something that's kind of hard to talk about? So when I work investigations like this, I have to keep an open mind on everything. Okay. And part of keeping an open mind is listening to you talk about your wife and your marriage. And the day she goes missing is the day that you guys have marital discord. Okay. So you can understand what I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It makes me sick to my stomach, honestly. Like, I know, like, I've talked to a few of my friends, is like, you know, this does not look good on you. I'm like, I know. It's like, people that, if people knew that we were having marital issues, they're gonna look at me. Especially with the way everything looks. And it honestly just makes me sick to my stomach because this is something that I would never do. Ever.
Unfortunately, he failed the polygraph test.
Regarding Shanann's disappearance, do you intend to answer all of the questions truthfully?
Yes.
Is your first name Christopher?
Yes.
Before 2018, did you ever lose your temper with someone you cared about?
No.
Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
So, it was completely clear that you were not honest during the testing, and I think you already know that. You did not pass the polygraph test.
Okay.
Okay. So now we need to talk about what actually happened. And I feel like you're probably ready to do that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise.
Chris, I know stuff. It's time.
Knowing that his lie could not hold up anymore, Chris told the detectives the truth.
Lost it. Choke her.
That's rage. I'm bad. The babies are gone. And I put my hands around my wife's neck and did that same thing.
Did Shanann fight back at all when you did that?
The rage that I had after seeing that, not much.
Now in court, Chris sits emotionless as family members tell him how they feel about him. First was Shanann's emotional father.
And Nico, loving, caring people. They love life. They love being around people who love them. They always had good times. This is the first time they went to the beach this year, and they loved it. But God only knows what happened that night. Life will never be the same without Shannon, Bella, and Celeste and Nico. Had all their lives to live. They were taken by a heartless one. This is the heartless one, the evil monster, who dare you take the lives of my daughters Shannon, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. I trusted you to take care of them, not kill them.
Then her brother.
In the blink of an eye, you took away my whole world, the people that mattered to me the most. Everything in my life I loved, your children. They trusted you. They loved you. They looked up to you because you promised to keep them safe. Instead, you turned on your family. My blood is boiling as I write these last words because they are the last you will ever hear from me. I can't even think of the right words to describe the betrayal and the hate I feel. And to be honest, you aren't even worth the time and effort it takes to put my pen to this.
And Shanann's mother.
Her daughter Bella Marie sang a song proudly. I don't know if you got to see it, but it was Daddy, You're My Hero. I have no idea who gave you the right to take their lives, but I know God and his mighty angels were there at that moment to bring them home to paradise.
Next, Chris's family addressed the court.
We don't think that there's anything that he can say that will ever account for his behavior. There's nothing that can be done to cure the harm he has caused, and he has the responsibility to serve his sentence with dignity and with regard for everyone, and to spend every breath that he has left in an atonement for what he has done.
By the time they were done, Chris was in tears.
Is there any statements you would like to make on behalf of the prosecution?
Yes, please.
Now it's Ty, Chris's turn to speak.
Mr. Watts has asked us to share this morning that he is devastated by all of this. And although he understands that words are hollow at this point, he is sincerely sorry for all of this. Thank you.
Thank you. We began. You have the right to make a statement if you choose to. Would you like to make a statement?
But before he could learn his sentence, the judge had a few words for him.
Here, the evidence in this case are a senseless crime and the viciousness of the crime, and equally aggravating in this court's determination is the despicable act of disposing of the bodies in the manner in which they were done in this case. I've been a judicial officer now for starting my 17th year, and I could objectively say that this is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen.
Finally, it was time for Chris to learn his fate.
With regard to count number 1, murder in the first degree as it relates to Shanann Watts, the court is going to sentence you, sir, to a life sentence in the Colorado Department of Corrections, followed with no possibility of parole.
Chris is now serving his sentence in a maximum security prison in Wisconsin. Just when you thought you'd seen it all, another convict surpasses Chris Watts' strange courtroom display. Enter Jared Chance, who has a history of crime and is facing charges for multiple crimes, including the murder of Ashley in Michigan. On November 28, 2018, Ashley went to help her friend Jared, but somehow she disappeared. Her worried mother contacted the police, and not long after, a neighbor, Marie Nelson, called the police about a discovery.
Once I come back up to the stairs, there's a tarp laying there, and it's like just a string of blood out of it. What do you do when you see a tarp with a string of blood? Run upstairs, I have my girlfriend call the cops.
The police discovered the mutilated body of Ashley.
Well, wrap into that basement, going down to that basement. That's where the body's at, wrapped in the tarp. Okay, the tarp is laying on the stairs, about the last 3 stairs. Right up to police department, anybody in the section, come on, make yourself known. Come up to the stairwell right now. Right there. Put your hands up, hands up.
Following the discovery, Jared was arrested.
Come on down, hands on top of your head. We're gonna call him right into that kid.
Now in custody, he denied any wrongdoing.
Because I don't really know what the hell's going on, so I don't want to sit here and talk about shit that may incriminate me or whatever in any kind of way, because I don't know what's going on. So I just don't want to say nothing right now.
Eventually, evidence linked him to the crime, and he was charged in court. Now in court, Ashley's family members gave him a piece of their mind, starting with her brother.
Shared a room with her since I was 3 years old, until she moved out. I don't understand how anyone could do what you have done. No man can do that, I'm sorry. I don't understand it whatsoever. And then you can sit in your house and be there knowing what you have done and not do anything about it.
To the mother. In K.
Of my daughter. If I want a hug, I have to hug a box and close my eyes and pretend that she is hugging me back because you chose to murder her, because you chose to dismember her. You texted me, Ashley and I are both good people. This is why we get along and like each other. Do you remember texting me that? Do you remember texting me? I would Why? Why would you do this? What did she do to you that was so terrible? That you chose? You chose!
Now, Jared Chance finds out if he would be given another chance.
An extremely disturbing set of facts and circumstances where you killed and dismembered this young lady, Ashley Young. Only her torso was found in the basement. The police, although they did an excellent job in this matter, working every possible lead, could never find Ashley's head, her hands, or her feet. You, sir, in my mind, are a very evil individual. You are clearly a monster without any conscience whatsoever, and you are someone who is a danger to society and should never be allowed free. Accordingly, it is the sentence of this court with regards to the second-degree murder that you be committed to the Michigan Department of Corrections to serve a minimum of 100 years to a maximum of 200 years. I am purposely doing this so that you will not be eligible for parole until you are at least 130 years old.
This is how Ashley's family reacted to the sentence.
We're going to take a break for 5 minutes to clear out, and then I'll try to get us.
Jared is now serving his sentence in prison. While Jared Chance's behavior raised eyebrows, it's nothing compared to the explosive actions of Christopher McNabb during his trial. Christopher was in court for the murder of 2-year-old Kalia in Atlanta, Georgia in 2017. Baby Kalia disappeared from the crib when her mother, Courtney, and Chris were sleeping.
2-week-old is not in her sleeper. Her passy is on the floor. She's not in her sleeper. She's not here. I've looked everywhere.
The parents were devastated when they woke up and couldn't find their daughter. The mother quickly called authorities.
Told my baby's dad to go check on Kalia, and then he's talking about she's not here. She's not in here. Looked through everything, like under the bed, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I have clothes and totes, but I've looked all in on it. She's not.
The police quickly went into action, with Chris pleading for the return of his stepdaughter on TV.
I want my kid back, man. That's my child, man. I want my kid, man.
After a few days of intense search, the police found baby Kalia near the parents' trailer, but she was already dead and wrapped in Chris's clothes. Immediately after the police discovered the baby, Chris fled the state. Eventually, he was apprehended.
911, was that a severe emergency? That guy that his baby was found dead is in the Chevron on 36.
Now in court, the parents were made to listen to the severity of their crime.
The head and partially over the neck.
Can you tell me what's depicted in that photo?
Okay, all of these photos are just step by step showing how the body was received and these wrappings of how the body was received. Again, this shows that one of the sleeves was over the head and neck. The rest of it was just kind of wrapped around, and the baby was wearing this purple onesie that had right.
While the crimes committed by Chris were abhorrent, his courtroom conduct will leave you speechless.
Wearing a turtle suit, which is something that prisoners are wearing when they're on suicide risk. He wasn't wearing clothing under that, and he had pulled up the turtle suit and taken out his and was masturbating.
And did he masturbate to completion in your presence?
The psychologist testified to the true state of Chris's mind.
That I did have on a turtle suit, and it velcros, and it wasn't on properly, and it didn't fit properly, and the velcros were not on good because they don't stick, because they've been used for so many years by so many different people, and I was not masturbating at all in front of her, period. The thing fell off when I stood up, and that was it. There was none of that, and I would have liked to have told her that, since she was the one making the accusation, since I'm pretty sure by the law states that I have a right to confront my witnesses who accuse me of doing wrong. So I felt like I wanted to say it in front of her, since she was the one up here slandering me. And that's all I got to say.
You sure you don't want to talk about the sentencing and all of that? That was the only thing you wanted to tell the court?
I mean, I haven't heard anything about a sentence. I was just commenting on that. I understand
for the charges. And I just wanted to know if you had anything you wanted to say to the court.
I mean, I got a lot to say. I got a lot to say, but I'm not going to be able to say half of it.
I don't know, because I don't know what you're going to say.
I'm innocent. I didn't do it.
Okay.
I've maintained that the whole time. I feel like there was things that were allowed to be said that should have never been allowed to be said and didn't have nothing whatsoever to do with the case and what was being said. Just because somebody has domestic abuse issues with their spouse doesn't mean that they would put their hands on their kids, which has also been pretty much proved that I've never touched my kids in any harmful manner whatsoever. I've never harmed my kids.
But Judge Ott has a trick question for Chris.
I can make a lot of comments on what you said. I can make a lot of comments on the trial, but I know that was just be arguing with you or talking with you. I'll ask you one simple question. You claim you're innocent, so you tell me what sentence the man or woman that you claim did this should receive.
If you ever find out who did them, they deserve to be under the jail.
Okay, so they ought to get the maximum sentence.
Most definitely.
Okay.
Now, Judge Ott provides a classical reply to this trick question.
On the crime of malice murder, I sentence you to life in confinement without parole. On concealing the death of another, I sentence you to 10 years in confinement, consecutive or after. Count one. Do you understand each of your sentences?
Yes, sir.
Like Chris, Courtney insisted on her innocence.
Y'all know I didn't do this.
Well, you and I had a conversation back in Chambers on Wednesday, remember, morning? And at the time I told you there's a difference between the reality of the situation and what you think. I explained to you exactly why you were being charged with the crime. It wasn't that you knew about the murder, it wasn't that you anticipated the murder, it wasn't that you planned the murder, any of those things. It was simply that you created an environment that caused your children to be put second and Mr. McNabb to be put first. As the state said in their closing, and they used the example of a rattlesnake being thrown into a room and the child being put into there. Well, your whole claim is I took him back because I wanted to have a family. In that analogy the state used, it's just kind of like saying your child's dead from a rattlesnake bite. Why would you put it in there? And you responded, well, I just wanted her to enjoy nature, have an appreciation of the outdoors without appreciating the danger. Now, I'm sorry, but for you to go around chasing McNabb, doing meth, flies in the face of what any normal mother would do. We hear stories out in society, out everywhere. The mother bear, they're so ferocious. Why? Because you're messing with their child. All those kind of things. And you chose methamphetamine and McNabb over a baby.
It's a sickness, but I tried to be a good mama. I love my babies.
The problem, Miss McNabb, is that like most criminals, you have this version of what a good mama is that is so far from the norm that, you can go anywhere in this county, talk to anybody who's watching this and say, is it a good mama who doesn't even care about her 14-year-old baby? Put them with a cousin. I've known of instances where mamas won't even let in the first couple of weeks of a child's life people around the child for fear that the child's immune system hadn't been built up and they don't want germs brought into the child. They go to that extent. You went just the exact opposite direction, and there's just no excuse for that. On count, well, let's talk about this. Count 2 merges with count 1.
But that didn't save her from her fate.
Okay. On count 1, I'm going to sentence you to 30 years, with the first 15 years to be served in confinement in the state penitentiary, the remaining time on probation. On count 3, I'm going to sentence you to 10 years in confinement and run at the same time as count 1. Now, do you understand your two sentences?
The courtroom scenes from these tragic cases serve as a reminder of the profound impact such crimes have on families and communities. As these individuals face justice, the pain of the victims' families remains, and their courage in court reflects the strength needed to cope with unimaginable loss. These stories serve as a sobering reflection on the consequences of violence and the importance of accountability.